Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Men of Liberty. I'm your host, Sam, and I know it's been a few weeks since we last posted. One of us got hit with COVID. We're not going to say who, but we had to quarantine for 10 days because we were not vaccinated. And then I think just work and personal things kept getting in the way. So today we have with me Noah. Noah, go ahead and say hi, man.
Howdy.
Yeah, Noah's here, and we don't have Mike, but we have old Trump sitting there, supporting us. Mike's got things to do today, so he'll be back next week, and obviously I'm here. So like I said, there was a little bit of quarantining, and then some personal matters got in the way, and so we're back, and today is kind of more just a laid-back conversation concerning toxic masculinity and maybe a little bit of feminism that I disagree with as well. And so I know anything you want to say to people while your time away?
It's an awesome time. So
He's a little tired. It's been a long week, so it's all of us are a little bit beat up. All right, so the first video we'll be chopping away at is going to be with Jordan Peterson, and he's talking about the term toxic masculinity. Obviously it's a term that I disagree with, but let's just go right over there and see what's cooking.
I see a backlash against masculinity, sense that there's something toxic about
But what is
masculinity.
this idea
as
of being
such.
over? Why is society overly feminized?
Well, I didn't ever say that society was overly feminized. So if we're going to discuss my views, we should use my actual words. I believe that there's a danger in our society at the moment of making the assumption that our culture, for example, is a tyrannical patriarchy, is in some small part, and that any active engagement on the part of young men in particular is indistinguishable from an unacceptable power and dominance drive, which I don't believe.
But
I
surely
think all of that is inappropriate and incorrect.
If much of the power and authority over a very long historical period is lain with men, isn't it only inevitable that some men will get a little hacked off when women are given a stab at something approaching equality?
Well, that could be inevitable. That doesn't make it right, and it's certainly not something that I support.
So you think men's resentment is more
I'm not in
important than
favor of
women's
resentment.
effort to attain equality?
I'm not in favor of resentment at all. I think that if you're resentful, something's definitely wrong. Either you need to grow the hell up and take stock of your life, or you have some things to say to people you haven't been saying.
You say science undoubtedly shows us that men and women have different traits, and there's a lot of science to back you up on that. But you say that because of that, men are hardwired to achieve success and to be successful in a way that women are not.
No, not at all. I've never said anything like that. I've said that there are biological differences that express themselves in temperament, occupational change, and that any attempt to force equality of outcome is unwarranted and ill-advised as a consequence.
And yet some of the most successful societies, judged on contentment indices or indeed material success, are those, for example, in Scandinavia.
Where the temperamental differences are larger
But
than they are in
nonetheless,
any other society.
Well, so you point out that in Scandinavia, many more women choose to be health workers than engineers, for example.
It's not what I say, it's what the large-scale scientific investigation has revealed.
Fair enough. But equally, Scandinavia is full of societies, one could point to Norway, where they've made a specific legislative effort, for example, with a quota of 40% of women on corporate boards or a quota for women to be in parliament. They've specifically engaged in social engineering, and it seems to be working, and it seems to be...
Doesn't seem to be working
well,
particularly.
forgive me, but Norway is top of every contentment index that we see across the world.
Well, okay, so first of all, Norway has plenty of oil money, which is definitely contributing to that. And second, it depends on what you mean by working. There's no evidence, for example, that the legislation that was designed to increase the number of women on boards has produced any movement whatsoever in the number of women who hold managerial and administrative positions in Norway. The theory was that as societies became more egalitarian, that men and women would become more the same. That isn't what's happened. What's happened is the biggest differences between men and women now, temperamentally and in terms of their own interests, have manifested themselves in the Scandinavian countries. And so what that will mean is that men and women will make different choices in occupation if you let them have free choice. Now, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to stop that from happening? Is that the feminist perspective?
Get back to a word I used before and ask you directly, do you approve of, do you think it's a dangerous word, equality? This word equality. What
I
is your...
approve of equality of opportunity, but I think that equality of outcome considerations are detestable and dangerous beyond belief.
As molecules cool,
Yep. Didn't realize there was an ad there. But I think that just about sums it up a little bit. No, what do you think about that video, bud?
It was pretty good. I think you. Oh shit.
You just press it down. There you go. Now he's on.
I thought he did a pretty good job of pointing some things out. I really, I think the toxic masculinity, I think it's just one of many tendrils to the same machine moving towards the same outcome of just destroying the values of the entire country. So.
Yeah, definitely. In my opinion, it's more of a trying to take away the male rule, not just in society, but also in like your homes, fatherhood. Like proper discipline is a big question nowadays when it comes to parenting, especially as a father. You know, because there are so many things that are looked at as being abusive, or even raising your voice is considered
Verbal abuse.
Yeah. And it's hard to be a parent. And I think with that label, toxic masculinity too, because when you have it like a male child, right, and the way you raise them, in today's society, the way I raise my son is considered toxic masculinity. I encourage him to embrace the more aggressive side of his nature because he's a boy, and that's natural. Boys are naturally more aggressive because of testosterone. So yeah, just me doing that can be considered encouraging toxic masculinity.
You're perpetuating the patriarchy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
A little bit.
A little bit.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think the values, the Judeo-Christian values, and then some of the Greek ideas about democracy and self-rule and philosophy have crept into our society and created a pretty awesome place to live. For the most part, pretty egalitarian society where you're more likely to be graded off of what you can do and the quality of said work than actually like your sex or your race.
Well said. Definitely well said. Yeah, I do not like the term toxic masculinity. I think that it shouldn't be used. Of course, we have freedom of speech, but I disagree with the term 100%. It's been weaponized by not just the radical feminist movement that's no longer about, proper feminism, or what some people would consider proper feminism. It's turned into a anti-men.
I'm pretty sure Winston Churchill would be violating the UK's own hate speech laws every time he gave it. If he were alive today giving the same speeches, he would be violating hate laws.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. It's been too radicalized. It all started with,
that's the outcome. That's what
right.
we want for us here, is to be what's going on over there in England, where you say something like anything that somebody could find offensive online, and the police are going to show up at your house, knock on your door, and be like, "I heard you were posting some trash talk on the internet." It's going to be like a year in jail and a couple grand. You got to come with us down to the office.
Right. Yeah, you busted, bud. You better take it back.
GTA.
But yeah, it's a dangerous term, and there's a lot to go with it. There's another video I want to watch about. It's Jordan Peterson. Obviously, I feel like he's very level-headed when it comes to these things, and he's intellectually sound, and I believe he's non-biased either. I think he truly believes in research, and he watches it. He brings up Scandinavia a lot because they've tried a lot of things that people are arguing nowadays, right? Like the equality. It just. And the outcome's always the same. So he taps into a lot of that, and I appreciate that with him.
They're also really culturally monogamous there.
Yeah.
In a lot of those nations, there is no ethnicity difference or variation.
Yeah, so the tribalism doesn't really play too much of a role. That makes sense. Yeah, definitely makes sense.
But that gets ignored a lot. But race demographics play a very large, the diversity is strength, but how much of a strength before it becomes a weakness?
Well said. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a lot to think about, and just talking about like this is considered extremely offensive. So if you find this offensive, please hit that like button and comment. I wouldn't mind, Exactly. But yeah, we're gonna watch this video of Peterson again, because I enjoy his videos and I feel like he's very sound. So here we go. Definitely slices things up pretty well. It's interesting because even in like critical race theory, there's this belief that, and I know that it kind of goes hand in hand because they complement each other a little bit. And the idea that there was this white patriarchy that its structures were 100% racist and they were based in racism, right? And now you have this that's like, well, our Western culture is this male-dominated, But I mean, it's just the way the world was in most, places. It's not like we created it, and it was like, oh yeah, this was an American idea 100% all the way. There are still countries out there that treat their women like shit.
Yeah, we were talking about Saudi Arabia earlier.
Yeah.
You can drive with your man's permission over there now. Better have the permission slip, though.
Wow.
Bury you up to your neck and throw rocks at you.
I mean, that's a great example.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, right?
Hillary Clinton takes millions of dollars from their political leadership over there for her presidential campaigns. Okay, yeah, just funnel a bunch of money into the Clinton Foundation for me, and we'll act like you aren't, refusing to give people human rights.
Well, we are, duh. I mean, no way, bud. Yeah, but no, it's just stupid. It's bizarre. And the more it's passed on generationally, the worse it's going to get.
It's an identity politics octopus. And the goal of this is to get you broken up into a small group of people that think just like you do. Like, we're oppressed because we're this, and everybody else is an oppressor. It's designed to segregate society into small groups and encourage infighting.
Yeah, and that also goes hand in hand with the gender argument.
Yeah.
Gender and
identity politics, same octopus.
Pronouns.
Yeah, that's why I go with an octopus. It's got 8 different tentacles and they're all doing the same thing, just a slightly different way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The ocean is scary.
The ocean is scary and full of crap we do not know. Or maybe we just don't want to know.
I'll go with both.
Yeah.
I'll go with both.
Yeah, it's dangerous. The whole concept of toxic masculinity, I think, is dangerous. I think there's toxicity in everything. I don't think that a man showing manly traits is toxic. I think that should be encouraged. I mean, imagine a society where there was no masculinity, because masculinity is healthy, and sometimes it comes out as aggressive, but I believe that there is such thing as righteous aggression.
Yeah.
I believe that's a thing, and without that, I think we'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, like, look at Chamberlain before World War II, right, in England. And it took somebody with absolutely no spine for England to then elect Winston Churchill. A complete 180 degrees from appeasement to, all right, we're not going to put up with this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we need masculinity in the world, people. Stop fighting it. Stop being moronic.
More so today, especially with I'm not really worried about Russia. I'm worried about China though, and like the current administration that we have.
Yeah.
I don't think they back up Japan. I don't think they back up Taiwan. I don't think they would really do too much to defend the Republic of Korea either.
Mm-hmm.
The Republic of Korea might be North Korea. South Korea. I'm worried about culturally where we're at and it affecting us on the world stage now. That's literally going to have the same effects that we went through the last century, just with a different theater of war.
Right.
By choosing to make the same stupid mistakes.
With having, well, I mean, think about it though. History is so taught, so warped. Like now, it's you're supposed to hold on to history and learn it so that you don't make the same mistake twice, right? But even today, history is being warped and twisted and burned. People don't want to talk about what happened, or they, think it to be wrong. And yeah, some stuff that happened in the past was wrong. That's why you need to talk about it, and that's why you need to sit down and teach it, so that these, younger generational people, the kids, they know what to do and what not to do, because, it's easy to make that same mistake twice now because they were ill-educated on it,
I mean, the people teaching kids in college right now are basically communists, and they're not teaching the evils of that entire system of government for the last 100 years. Over 100 million people were starved to death alone from communism. And instead they're taught that capitalism is evil, and it leads to this many people starving to death on their own because they can't afford to pay bills or do this or do that. It's like, well, communism, you take over the farms, kill the farmers, and then watch all of Ukraine starve to death in like 9 months. We don't even talk about that. Instead, it's glorious. Communism is something to strive to. That unity.
right? It's the cure to all of our problems.
It's the utopia just over the bed. It's not. It's a very dark, horrifying place that I don't want to go to.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't want to go there neither. It's and it's hard to get out of it once you get in it too. You have to fight harder than what you're doing now. You can't just talk, because if you talk,
Look at
to the
Russia.
gulag.
I mean, they've come a long way. I think, especially, even from the collapse of the USSR in the 90s. But it's still a loose dictatorship.
Yeah.
That dude's got that presidency on lock until he dies, for sure. Like, ain't nobody voting against him. And if they do, they probably going to disappear. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mysteriously.
I mean, he's doing all right for his country.
Yeah. He is who he is.
Supporting values. He has a lot to say about masculinity,
Yeah.
feminism.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's
Church, I think, is part of why we're culturally led to. We got to fight them. Because they stand for some principles over there, the Russian Orthodox Church, that even communism couldn't scrub out, is still there. That's part of where that hatred, I think, goes today.
hatred. Bastards. Another piece of things I wanted to bring up and talk about is the I gotta say this right. Cosmopolitan magazine, formerly being I think a home makeover magazine, right? Was turned into this it was used. This is the term that this lady used as a sex rag, where, in my opinion, it was like toxic feminism.
I've got a couple of those.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, for 20 years or so, they were giving stories and this narrative of feminism in the workplace, not having kids, birth control, kids being an inconvenience, And yeah, getting in the way of like your work lifestyle. So basically, don't have kids, have sex, don't have kids, and be free to work, and life is great. When you think about that, we have a video on that later too.
And in the name of equality, like I will totally be stay-at-home dad. It's all right. I am the answer.
I think it's all BS, man. I think it's
Someone should stay home to watch the kids. You know,
right. It doesn't always have to be a freaking woman, yeah, but it,
but I can make chicken nuggets all day, bud. All day.
So Tyson's Nuggets, here we come.
Like Kraft macaroni.
It's so obnoxious because it was the successful people in big industries that were pushing this narrative for this magazine is what it was. It was like, okay, well, we don't want to have to deal with mothers getting pregnant because that's an inconvenience to us. So they wanted to spin it as this feminist thing, like, oh, this is empowering to not have kids and to, and then to just have sex without any consequence.
To put all of your time and effort into life into your job.
Exactly.
That doesn't sound.
That's feminism, bud, according to this magazine.
I don't think anybody should live like that.
Well, I agree. It's stupid. I like to use the word stupid for this because that's what it is. It's pathetic. Like, what kind of stupid narrative are you trying to teach young ladies? They should be able to go have kids. They should look forward to that. And if they don't want to, fine. But don't plant those ideas in their head. Like, let them be who they are, Yeah. But anyway, we're going to play that video for y'all and let you judge it for yourself. I think it's a good video. So let's go ahead and do that.
Now, Helen Brown, the editor, you had some interesting book about how Cosmo got across a certain philosophy. Hear more about that.
Taught that sex without the kids and hard work. That was Helen Gurley Brown. He was had been a copywriter. Biggest country. She was very good at it. Then she took Cosmopolitan, turned it into a sex rag. It was very, very popular. Cosmo was the hottest woman. That was her philosophy. Hard work, sex without. Didn't have children. Was married. Children were more of a nuisance. You could get married, but abortions still failed.
Can you tell me more how she instructed you, others, writers, to sell her particular?
Made up a lot. For example, a young woman, her name is Mia. She goes to Paris. At night, they fall in love. They fall in love that day. They go to a hotel on the left bank. The next morning, she knows that she's in love. It's all beautiful. It's all made up. Oh, Mia, there was no hotel on the left. It was all created this fantasy. Cosmo Girl, at least in the beginning, before a lot of women into it. Cosmo Girl. She was a marketer because she could work hard. She was on the pill and she did an abortion. She have to fire her for being pregnant because she didn't press for working women's rights. She didn't press for family rights. She didn't press for child care. Just worked hard. Corporation, basically.
Okay. So it would make what was in with their plan.
Well, first of all, Helen Gurley Brown. I don't know if she was abortion way women selling the corporate America so that they have women working.
So in that way,
Childcare.
pregnant moms were
They were.
Helen Gurley Brown, just like they were to a lot
They
of
were.
employers.
There was a secret that nobody knew, is that mothers were. You know, propaganda is half truth out of. And one thing that people don't recognize in propaganda, look for the things that are invisible. Mother, visible.
Magazine, kids, there's no pregnancy, it's about sex, it's about products. It's
Right.
how did that flesh with her affected him out with him?
Right. She lived for they were married for 50 years. Remember, she didn't get married until Helen said this was the way she had lived. This she urged young women to sleep with the boss, be a married man, and she said it's good to sleep
But
with
she
a
probably
married
didn't
man.
want
She-
women sleeping with her married
No,
husband.
no,
So that
no,
was
no,
more
no,
other
that was
people
different. That was
should
different.
live that life.
That's
her,
right.
not her.
Not her family, not her husband, especially not her husband.
Now, Helen Brown, the editor.
Right on. So that was kind of interesting, don't you think? Kind of goofy, huh? What's your take on that there, Noah?
Like I said earlier, I think it's just all part of like the same octopus.
Yeah.
It's a way to degrade our societal norms, destroy the culture that supports them, that built this nation, demonize it, and replace it with work, more or less nothing but what the machine wants to fill you with.
Mm-hmm. Like the throwing away of morals. Oh, sleep your way to the top. Doesn't matter if he's a married man. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But then, of course, it doesn't apply to her personally. Like, no, not my married man now. Hold on now. But, yeah, anything to get to the top, basically. So shooting out morals and turning it into a completely warped, in my opinion, this is my opinion, a warped lifestyle. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be.
No, I don't think it
You
is
know?
either. And I'm going to agree with you and raise you tenfold there, because that kind of ideology, so promoted lifestyle going forward in life is exactly how you get people on like a CEO position of a major pharmaceutical company that goes insulin. I'm going to jack up the price of that 1,200%.
Right. Yeah? Huh?
Yeah, just money. Like Mr. Krabs. Money.
It's sickening. And today's topics were more kind of just laid back and opinion based. It was opinion based. And I thought it was, just us breaking back into the structure of everything we do here. Obviously, Mike's not here, so it was more of a breaking the ice for the new year. I hope everybody had a happy new year, and it was fun and safe, and I hope everybody's doing well that watches, and anyone that begins watching, and everyone beyond. I love doing this. This is fun. I know that Noah likes it too. So Mike does as well. He'll be here next week. We'll start hashing out more serious topics, I think. I mean, not to say this isn't a serious topic, but we didn't really intend for today to be fully serious, more just opinions based on some videos we thought were interesting, and we'll work our way up from there. So it'll be fun.
Some discussion on some things.
Yeah, discussion for sure. Anything else you want to say, Noah, before we go kaput?
No, just thanks for the time. That's about it.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, thank you for your time. This is Men of Liberty, and we're super happy to have you here, and hope to see you next week. Thank you so much. Again, this is Men of Liberty, and I'm Sam, your host. Good day.